editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, into this conversation. Professor Nalapat, a big win, of course, for our agencies. What does this mean for the 2611 case as a whole, Professor Nalapat, and what are going to be the ramifications of Tahawwur Rana's extradition once he is back in India?
Well, I'd like to say that even if he confesses fully, enough evidence is there about Pakistan. They continue to stand by denial. They deny, even when the truth is there staring at them in the face. So they'll probably deny all this, and then they'll go back to their old lies. Oh, he was tortured, he was, all kinds of interrogation techniques were used. I don't believe that's going to happen. In my opinion, I think the agencies will be well advised to record every interaction they have, not for public consumption, but purely for making sure that anyone is able to realize it has been a genuine professional investigation from the word go. I mean, that was the case, for example, with Kasab, and that is going to be the case with Mr. Rana. There's no question about that. Having said that, I think it's a major catch for a simple reason that, one, he has persistently avoided the Indian net. After 2611, he persistently avoided the Indian net, but he has finally been trapped in that particular net, and the US Supreme Court has acted absolutely correctly, because terrorism anywhere is a threat to the world everywhere. So I want to point out that, at that point in time, 2611, I was actually in Mumbai during that time. And the Mumbai terror attack, for example, clearly they had clear ideas of where each room was, where the VIP guests were. They had inside information. And I'm sure that after that, these people have been identified. But the reality is these internal networks are very dangerous for India. And because of the fact that Pakistan is ramping up its covert operations against India while talking peace. It reminds us of another neighbor who talks peace and covertly does a lot of mischief. But the reality is that at that point in time, counterintelligence experts told me they had inside information from Taj. And of course, a very unfortunate development concerning the media was the fact that there was live reporting of where the commandos finally came. The commandos came late, they should have come earlier, but where they finally came, which windows they were going through, which doors they were going through. Frankly, that put the entire security at risk. And I think, very frankly, television cameras should be barred from closing, in on this kind of situation, so that there is no real-time information fed inadvertently by the channel to the terrorist groups operating, or to the controllers in Pakistan, who will then communicate with them. So I just want to say that, this is a very, very important catch. And what is in my view, the most important is the inside information on the internal networks. General Sivaj was talking about cities in Pakistan. Well, what about cities in India? At that point in time, there were large numbers of such anti-national elements who were operating there. And what they, frankly, have escaped very lightly where 2611 is concerned. Hardly any culpability has been laid on them. The whole thing has been, quote unquote, presented as an external attack. But unfortunately, we got Kasab. Otherwise, the Pakistanis would have used this excuse, oh, this is Hindu terrorism. You cannot use that because you've got a live person, Kasab, who gave a huge confession of the whole thing. So that argument completely fell apart. And that was an effort, by the way. I'm sorry to say, even at very high levels of the Indian government at the time, to create this myth of Hindu terror. There's no such thing as Hindu terror. But there was an effort to create a myth of Hindu terror. And fortunately, Kasab fell into our net alive. And as a consequence, that particular untruth was completely discredited. So I want to say, Uday, an extremely significant development. And I think we will now get to the backstory, so to speak, of what exactly is happening, what exactly was going on, and who the hidden informants who ensured, for example, where the dinghies landed, the factors, including the presence of Indian ships nearby, so many factors, so that fishing vessel itself followed a route which is obviously based on internal information. So all this needs to be investigated, and I'm very certain it will be, because frankly, these investigations have been put on a very fast track once Prime Minister Modi took charge, and as a consequence, now you're getting this gentleman back in Indian custody. He should have come long ago, but he's being forced to come back. As for the so-called Chicago job agency, it's obviously an agency for recruiting either terror networks or facilitators of terror. We have this kind of agencies in Canada. I think Justin Trudeau finally acted against them and cracked down on them. And this kind of agencies have been active in the US as well. And I'm very certain President Trump, who's as clear on counterterrorism as Prime Minister Modi, will be acting very sternly on such networks and basically breaking up such so-called recruitment networks, which actually